Apple will make its largest purchase acquisition in Q2 of 2024. Tim Apple is running out of levers to pull. Today's quarterly results show decent staying power in services. But they can't cover up the horrible Mac numbers. Less users upgrading phones. And declining revenue. Tim Apple will do his little sexy boy dance on the call this quarter to talk up services and improvements in China to keep the stock stable. However, after the call he will storm into the boardroom and demand a big purchase to hype up the stock and distract from results. We all know the line that Apple's biggest purchase is Beats headphones and they don't use their massive cash pile. But Tim Cook is looking at that bald Egyptian CEO at Microsoft and the Zuck making bank on AI hype. And will want some of that action. He also knows that Lina Khan can't afford another loss in the courtroom to block it. Buy Lockheed Martin become a defense contractor. Apple will buy ESPN. He'll buy MVIS for AR tech, most likely. Who gives a shit about Mac numbers? They made $89 billion and beat estimates. But they can't cover up the horrible Mac numbers. Less users upgrading phones. It's good to actually read the numbers for once because iPhone sales slightly beat and are up over $1 billion from Q4 2022. Mac numbers are likely down because the M1 chips were too good and people aren't upgrading. The new M3 might change that. But I swear that people here don't understand what consumer cyclical means. You're indicating that their sales are down because there's a major flaw with their products. But really interest rates are high. People aren't buying as much. But you can guarantee that they will eventually. Still, impressive numbers. They can really do whatever the fuck they want and their numbers cook. Weird to see down awe. I get they are good products but the prices are just too high. With mortgage going up, insurance going up, and everything else, disposable income starts to drop and premium products start to drop in popularity. Let me guess. Apple Car. They are just a consumer discretionary company. No longer tech. I'm surprised Apple hasn't made a bigger push into gaming. It's a bigger entertainment category by spend than movies. I'm an insider. He is going to buy Disney. Amazon has Eero Ring. Google has Nest Google Wi-Fi. Apple has a gaping hole in this space and few companies are adding HomeKit to their products. I've got the perfect new product idea for them. iCouch. A remote-controlled pocket pussy remotely controlled by a super hot Indonesian chic or her grandpa. You never really know which one. Get your willy remotely tugged for only $4.99 a month. Apple buys Fubo and gives Disney ESPN the finger. Let's see them acquire Globalstar and build their own satellite network for iMessage and then expand to include a phone contract. They gotta buy an electric car company. They're all tech now. They could start by making features that Android hasn't had for years. They should release a $600 gaming console. Using the power of the M chips. They could make it more powerful than the PS5 and Xbox Series 10. Developers would flood to them to make games. If the games sell well and are compatible on Macs as well, it'd drive Mac sales as well. Honestly, they should just close shop and put the money to work. $200 billion at 5 is a cool $10 billion a year. You need to keep up to date. The massive cash pile has been spent on buybacks. There is only $30 billion left in the piggy bank. They can't afford to buy anything. Apple will be fine. Should have acquired Tesla in 2020 when they feared bankruptcy for like $60 billion. The numbers weren't bad considering the economic uncertainty and people's more cautious spending in a high price environment. And I hate to break it to you. But any decent-sized acquisition tends to result in drop in stock price for the acquiring business. Not a good strategy for propping up shares. We've been saying for at least a decade that Apple is holding too much cash and doesn't seem to know what to do with it. Yet, here we are. Nothing matters if they don't find a way to innovate the iPhone. Are they buying Disney? Did you write this post on an iPhone? Blad Egyptian CEO. Tears of joy skull. Acquire Nintendo? I think they are likely going to step into the search game. With Google's search very downhill the last few years, I believe they will create their own and set it as default on all of their devices. I've heard lots of talk about they are working on algorithms for the last year or so. I believe that is why. Who knows how far put that is though. Not so hot take. All of Apple's tech-in products will be catch-up products. They are merely running on prestige and the ectoplasm of Steve Jobs with good accounting and tax avoidance. Big dumb. Bald Egyptian CEO at Microsoft? Bro is Indian, you dimwit. Bottom line is, Apple software sucks. The devices themselves are fine, even though they aren't fully loaded as competitors. But they obviously held back by their inferior services. iCloud Photos is so atrocious and trying to use Siri is absolute insanity. These are basic features. They're good products, but they really are far behind other players in the cell phone industry. A lot of these features they added. Somebody did a video of all back and said, hey, Nokia had this 10 years ago, Ericsson had this 10 years ago. It was like they're not bringing much new to the table here. They need to step up their game on the hardware because the software is rock solid most of the time. But they still need to be more innovative on the software side, allow us to create custom layouts. And things like that would be better than the stupid little icons. Buy WBD Para or Spotify, add that to Apple services and boom. What happens to Apple if we ever go to war with China? How much cocaine did you consume before you posted this? He should buy Peloton for cheap and make a stronger push into health fitness. Apple sitting on its laurels and behind on innovation. Samsung in the lead, but that Android is still a meso. That bald Egyptian is actually a bald Indian. Time for Apple to pay out a bigger dividend. Boomer stock should buy Rivian. Why is Apple not getting into cybersecurity? Seems like a logical play on product services. Apple is going to buy Disney and OpenAI. Will buy Disney. They need to. Nicola. Apple buys Rivian in 2026. They need to buy Paramount so they have a better content lineup for Apple TV. They will buy Roku. Apple looking at the comments for ideas. Eyes. They should buy Rivian. They are going to buy Salesforce. I saw some YouTube clip that the guy was claiming the Fed government will remove taxation on foreign cash. And that was gonna drive Apple to major acquisitions. I've never heard of it since on Reddit or elsewhere. The tax law was something along the lines of company needs to keep money made offshore in different holdings to avoid heavy taxation by the US Fed. The video stated, with no apparent timeline, that the tax law was going to change. Thoughts? LMAO, what is this garbage post? You literally just typed random shit and made up a headline. You mean the Indian CEO of Microsoft? On a real note, any Black Friday sales from Apple coming up?